fine dust level is getting higher. So, this is what we can do to protect ourselves from the growing level of fine dust. First, check out the fine dust level before you go out and make sure to wear a mask when the fine dust level is high. Also, don't forget to wash your hands when you return home. Even if the fine dust is not visible, it doesn't mean your hands are clean enough. Lastly, follow the alternate no driving system to reduce the fine dust from cars. These are very simple yet powerful ways to protect ourselves from the fine dust. Let's all take part in this campaign and stay healthy. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어방송.
김밥가게 박 사장님도, 문구점 김 사장님도, 우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
It is D-1. South Korea stands at a political crossroads. In the aftermath of the martial law debacle, the country found itself leaderless, forced to face a deep political, ideological, and generational divides. With early voting concluded, the candidates will make their final appeals. Will people vote purely for a new leader, or will it be more of a judgment day for what's happened in the past 6 months? I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, June 2nd on BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you had a great weekend, whether you were out and about or you decided to kind of just relax at home. We are ready to kick off our Monday morning together. Well, we just have one day left in campaigning, and the polls will open tomorrow at 6 a.m. for this snap presidential election. How will the candidates be ending their 22-day campaign? That's the big question, where their choice of their respective final campaigning spots will be very telling of what message they're trying to send to the voters. Democratic Party DP candidate Lee Jae-myung has picked Yeouido Park, facing the National Assembly. His message is to overcome the martial law situation as he did on the night of December 3rd, with citizens gathered in front of the parliament. People Power Party, or PPP's Kim Moon-soo, is ending his campaign at Seoul City Hall Square, which was the final campaign spot for former President Yoon Suk-yeol. Kim's taking a sweeping trip across the country today, starting in Jeju and working his way all the way up to Seoul by tonight. And the Reform Party's Lee Jun-suk is set to be his final place, they say, is going to be Daegu, with an image of a conservative associated with this particular spot. But what are the voters left with after the 22-day campaigning as they consider their choices? Although the race started with all candidates vowing to improve the livelihoods of the people, it's been filled with negative attacks, mudslinging, as we say, especially as we got towards the latter half of that period. And voters, well, I don't know, have you seen the specific pledges or plans? Are you satisfied about how the candidates presented their economic plans? Now, there are multiple lawsuits going on among the camps on various comments deemed misogynistic or in defamation of the candidates' family members. We could say this is a part of politicking, an inevitable part of any election. But as we race towards the election, which is tomorrow, we do have to remember that whoever gets elected is sworn in as president, not just for the people that voted for him, but for the entire country from day one. And, there is no room for division in theory. So let's see if the president-elect can unify the country. So we want to hear from you on our text topic. Are you ready? This is in connection to something we'll be talking about later on. I want to know, how do you spend money? Like literally, how do you pay for things? Are you more of like a debit check card kind of person or a credit card person? Also, do you check and take, advantage of there are so many, the various reward programs out there. And there are lots and lots. So 나는 체크카드, 신용카드 중 무엇을 더 많이 쓴다? 그리고 카드 마일리지, 리워드 포인트 등 혜택 잘 챙기는 편이다. 아니면 아니다. Like, I don't buy into that. It's okay. I don't need to do the 정리 points or anything like that. 저는 되게 열심히 해요. Anyhow, let me know. Send in your thoughts, your opinions to BEFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM or 부산 영어 방송. You'll see our logo. Click on it to subscribe, and then you can chat with our other waivers from your phone, pound 9050 shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can also reach me for free through Kakao Talk. Same thing there. To add us as a friend, first search for BEFM or 부산 영어 방송, and then you can send in your messages. You can send in photos as well. The ways you can listen to our program. If you're in Busan, on the radio, 90.5 or 103.3 FM. Like I said, we're also streaming live on YouTube right now. You can watch again at your leisure. Also, we have two apps, the BEFM app itself, and we're also available on the Papang app, both of which you can download for free. And the latter app, you can listen to our 와글와글 segment. All right, it is Monday, so let's look at the lineup for today. We have Cultural Interlude with Michael. In hour number 2, Claire's coming in with News in Depth. For our special interview today, we're going to be focusing on this whole idea of this interview pause for international students and student visas. And this is really concerning many people, families, students. And think about the students that are already there, how nervous they might feel. So let's get a real take on this. This is coming up with an expert in hour number 2. And I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:06, and this is News Overview. Candidates make a last-ditch campaign push during final weekend. Presidential candidates yesterday pressed on with their final efforts to consolidate their support base and persuade swing voters yesterday as June 3rd, Election Day tomorrow, looms near. South Korea's exports down 1.3% on year in May. South Korea's exports dropped 1.3% from a year earlier in May, snapping a 3-month winning streak as outbound shipments to the United States sharply went down amid the U.S. President Donald Trump's administration's sweeping tariff policies. U.S. raises issue with South Korea's economic restrictions in tariff talks. The United States has called for the resolution of South Korea's restrictions on beef imports, living modified organisms known as LMOs, overseas transfer of high-precision mat data, and other non-tariff measures in their latest trade negotiations. China installs 3 more structures near overlapping waters with South Korea. China has installed 3 more large-scale buoys near overlapping waters with South Korea, bringing the total number of such Chinese floating devices in the waters to 13. Ukraine launches major drone attacks against Russia. Ukraine has launched a large-scale drone attack against Russian military bombers in Siberia, striking more than 40 warplanes in an operation President Volodymyr Zelensky said will be in history books. And this was News Overview. It's time for Now in Busan. Sejin's back with us. Good morning.
Nice to be back with you.
Yes. So, hey, we're going to begin with our text topic. So, are you more of a debit card or they say check card versus a credit card kind of user? Do you input your information for the rewards programs or what do you do?
I mostly use the debit card. I was thinking about getting the credit card.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of great benefit for making the credit card. But I'm not so sure if I can get the handle of the control or get the control of how I'm going to spend my money with the credit card.
I see. So for now, maybe sticking with the debit or check card?
Yeah, debit card.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know. For our first bit of news, with just one day to go before, of course, the election tomorrow, election authorities in Busan are doing a final sweep, I hear, of more than the 900 polling and ballot counting stations across the country, correct?
Yes, the Busan Election Commission says it will wrap up inspections of all 914 polling sites and 16 counting stations by the end of the day. Close to 9,000 staff will be running the polls, and about 4,600 more will be on hand for the ballot count.
I see. And how can voters check where they're supposed to cast their ballots or their votes?
Voters can find their polling place through the official guide sent to their home or by checking the district office system or the National Election Commission's website.
And I also hear that they are taking accessibility into account this time because, of course, we want everybody who can to vote, right?
Yes, very much so. In fact, more than 97% of all polling stations are either on the ground floor or in buildings with lift. They've also set up temporary ramps where needed. And for voters with disabilities, there'll be a large voting booth for wheelchair access and braille tools for the visually impaired, and even specially designed devices for those who have trouble holding a pen.
Yes. And what happens once the voting ends?
Once voting wraps up, the ballot boxes get sealed and moved to the counting centers with police escort. For early and mail-in ballots, election staff and party reps tag along for the ride. And as the counting gets underway, you can follow the result live right on the Election Commission's website.
Yes. And what is in store for security? Because this is important.
Yes, only election staff and registered personnel are allowed inside polling or counting stations. The commission said it won't tolerate any groups bargaining in or causing a scene under the pretext of watching the fraud.
I see. So it seems like everything's in place. They're going to do a sweep of everything, and we're all hoping for a very fair vote tomorrow, right?
Yes.
All right. Let's move on. We have some news regarding the bus strike, right?
Yeah, Busan City's bus drivers and operators managed to reach a last-minute deal on May 28th, ending the strike. But the agreement comes at a cost over 320 billion won in public subsidies that the city now has to cover this year.
That's right. So that is a huge amount, 320 billion won. So what's behind such a large payout?
Well, Busan's been running what's called a semi-public bus system since 2007. And under this model, in return for taking over control of route planning, the city agreed to cover the losses of private bus operators. And when the system began, subsidies were around 50 billion won. By 2017, that figure had more than doubled. And last year, it reached a record about 270 billion. Now, after the recent negotiations, drivers' wages will rise by 10%. So this year's total subsidy would be more than 320 billion.
I see. So is this trend expected to continue is, I think, a bigger question.
Very likely. Rising wages and inflation mean the city's financial burden will keep growing unless readership goes up or fare increases. But that's easier said than done.
Yes.
The last fare hike in Busan in October 2023 the first in 10 years. And public pushback makes increase in fare politically difficult.
Yes, so what is the city doing to fix this?
They are saying routes with low demand should have fewer buses, running less often. And since most of the funding goes to drivers' salaries, some say the city should reduce staff gradually through the retirements over time.
I see. Is that everything the city is planning, or is there more in the works?
The city also says it will try to boost riderships with the Dongbaekjeon Pass and more low-floor buses. And as for cutting routes, they say they will making sure no one gets left behind when it comes to transport access.
Yes. So that is the latest, kind of a wrap-up of what happened with the strike.
Right.
All right, next, I hear that a couple taking photos in the middle of a road in Busan has really stirred up a debate online. So tell us about the story.
Yes, so what happened was the couple tried to get social media-worthy shot in the middle of busy intersection near 청사포 beach in Haeundae.
I know this spot exactly, yes.
Even though the light was green for cars and red for pedestrians, the couple stepped into the crosswalk and started posing for photos, and it forced kind of cars to stop. At one point, they briefly stepped aside to let cars through, but when the lights changed again, they walked right back to continue their photo session.
So let's talk about the drivers first. So how did they react?
Drivers started honking to get them to move. And then a couple finally rushed off the road. The scene was caught on the car's dash cam and quickly spread online.
Yes. And so let's explain for those people who have never visited this area, but I've seen this actually several times. Why does this keep happening in this particular spot?
It seems like Cheongsapo has become a hot tourist hotspot because the beach, train, and ocean views looks like a scene from the anime Slam Dunk. So visitors often flock there trying to get the best photo.
Yes.
But that's causing a tension between tourists and drivers.
And so how are authorities trying to deal with all of this?
Police put up warning banners and Haeundae district installed speed cameras. The beach train station will also have staff guiding pedestrians. Plus, traffic experts are calling for stricter enforcement and more safety staff.
Yes.
But they say the real key is for visitors to follow basic rules.
Yes, and that means domestic and international tourists. For people even who live in the area, please don't do this. It's really, really dangerous. Yes. All right, next up, let's talk about if we want to quickly escape into nature without ever leaving the city. I hear you have something for us, right?
I got a good one.
Okay.
Busan's Bukgu district is holding a special wellness eco tour next weekend on June 7th and 8th at the Hwamyeong Ecological Park.
Okay.
The event is meant to give people a peaceful break from daily life and helping people deepen their appreciation for natural world.
I love it already. It sounds so calming. What kinds of things can people do there?
So at the Eco Experience Zone, families can take part in hands-on activities like making paper lotus flowers, decorating postcards, or building little sailboats.
What else? Do you have any other information?
If you're looking to slow down, the
Okay.
wellness zone is all about healing and good vibes. There will be tea and meditation sessions, community hula dancing, an eco-friendly bubble show, and a treasure hunt for a bit of nostalgic fun.
Oh, it does sound like a lot of fun. Can people just show up, or do they need to, book it in advance?
Some things like the picnic zone do need a reservation.
Okay.
You can rent a picnic set and tent in advance, and there will be shaded rest areas set up around the park so that visitors can take a break and soak in the scenery.
And where can our listeners find out further information?
Head to the Good for Wellness Eco Tour website, Good for Wellness 생태여행 homepage. You'll find all the info about the schedule, reservations, and what to expect.
All right. Well, thank you for helping us kick off Monday morning. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sejin.
Very welcome.
All right. Let's get to your traffic and weather.
The Korea Broadcast Advertising Cooperation (KOBACO) is offering support for the production of broadcast advertisements for innovative small and medium-sized enterprises. Up to 45 million Korean won is available for television advertisements and up to 3 million Korean won for radio advertisements. Applications will be accepted until 6 p.m. on June 2nd. For more information, please visit the KOBACO website. We appreciate your interest.
Let's check out the road conditions on this Monday morning. It is backed up on Nakdong Namlo from Gangsa Police Station to Seongsan three-way intersection. There's also some backup on Gwangan Bridge, that top portion going towards Daeyeon. It's also looking slow on Luno Samsungdaero from Byungho intersection to Shino Bridge, and also on Pyeonglo right around the Wondong ramp in both directions. It is currently 17 degrees Celsius under cloudy skies. Daytime highs expected to go up to 22 degrees Celsius. Rain is forecast for later in the day, and the ultra-fine dust levels are bad right now. Across the country, it is raining already in parts of Gangwon, Chungcheong, and Jeolla right now, with rain clouds spreading to the rest of the country by this afternoon. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good weekend. You were working hard.
I had a very good weekend, a very productive, busy weekend. When I woke up this morning, I was like, it's not Monday.
I know.
Can't be Monday.
But it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, let's talk about our text topic first. So we're talking about, how you use different kinds of plastic. So whether it's the check card, as we usually say in the States, or debit card versus credit card.
I think I almost exclusively use my credit card because as a freelancer, I don't know. It's like in case I want to get a loan for a home one day. Because, freelancers, when you do go to a bank loan, like you don't really get as much like credit as opposed to someone with like a more stable form of employment. So I do use my credit card to rack up my credit. But my rule is that I will never spend more than what's currently in my bank account.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's my one rule. But I am on the market for a new credit card because the reason I signed up for this current credit card is because I used to pay for my sister's cell phone bill.
Right.
And then they used to give me discounts, but then she pays for her own now.
Oh.
So now I'm like, well, there's no point. So we're like, what should I 환승 to?
I have a good one for you.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so without giving brand names, we have a particular bank, credit card where it is connected to the kuteng. So when you do that, it gives you points, and then you get
free stuff,
free
points. Ooh,
So
I need
I'm
links.
just saying.
All right, Waver, send me
Yes.
links.
All right, we're going to jump into our first story. We're going to begin with the final presidential campaign coverage because, come tomorrow.
Because today is the final
Yes.
day. So candidates were in full sprint over the final weekend of the campaign, and both major party candidates were focusing on the economy, amongst other things. So Democratic Party's candidate Lee Jae-myung, he focused on the extra budget execution as well as local currency, so two major pillars there. In a YouTube interview, he compared the current economy to the human body. He stated that right now the heart is pumping out blood, but it's not going to the extremities, meaning your hands and feet. So he stated local currency, 지역화폐, will really help to stimulate this flow. And he also said that if he becomes president, he will focus on the extra budget on recovering demand and support for everyday people.
Okay.
Also honed in on the use of AI, artificial intelligence, across all fields in the industry, and as well as everyday life, education, and talent development. He also aimed for 100 trillion won investment, both government and private investment combined. And in the energy sector, he called for reducing dependency on nuclear energy, which the country, it accounts for about a third of the country's total energy.
Okay.
However, he said he's not for getting rid of the existing nuclear reactors as long as their safety is guaranteed. He stated that some people think that the Democratic Party is just gung-ho against nuclear reactors. However, the economy has to be separate from political ideology.
I see. So that is once again Lee Jae-myung. Let's get to People Power Party candidate Kim Moon-soo, who also presented his own set of economic pledges.
Right. So Kim's economic pledges are based on jobs, job-based growth with a goal of reaching $40,000 per capita GDP and potential national growth rate of 3%. He stated that his policies will go beyond populism and achieve real growth and welfare. And he also reiterated that going back to his days as Gyeonggi governor, when he established GTX transportation system and the Samsung Electronics Pyeongtaek Semiconductors complex, saying that he's experienced in bringing the economy up.
Yes.
Kim also said that jobs lead to growth. Growth makes distribution of wealth and welfare possible. His plan is dubbed the MS, initial Munsu, but here stands for More and Secure Nomics, MXnomics, going across 6 fields to technological investment, freedom for corporations, opportunities for everyday people, hiring-friendly labor market, education based on choice, and financial support for growth.
Yes.
By the way, I do want to touch on this briefly as we wrap up our presidential campaign coverage. Independent candidate Hwang Kyo-won announced yesterday that he is dropping out of the race. And he also endorsed PPP's Kim Moon-soo. Hwang is now the second candidate who has dropped out after Liberal Unification candidate Gu Ju-ah. So by the way, when you go to the polls yesterday, you will see the 사퇴 stamp next to Gu Ju-ah's name because he dropped out way earlier on. However, Hwang Kyo-won will kind of remain empty next to his name, but keep in mind that he has dropped out.
Well, thanks for letting us know, because when you go out to vote, you might still be wondering.
Right.
All right. While we are on the topic of the economy, there is an interesting report that says that a lot of South Koreans who are in the middle class don't actually think or feel they're in the middle class.
Right. So when we talk about the economy, especially when politicians and policymakers talk about the economy, the middle class is such a key word. But it's also one of the most subjective, 주관적인 categories, because I don't know how many of us think we're in the middle class, how many of us are actually in the middle class versus not. This is an area where expectations, perception versus reality, it's widely different. So first, let's get to the reality. What really is the middle class? According to Statistics Korea, 60% of South Koreans are in the middle class. So it's actually a very solid bit.
Okay.
So the middle class, 중산층, refers to people who are in the 75 to 200% of the median income. And while that varies depending on how many people are in your household, when we look at a 4-person household, the median income is about 5.2 million won per month.
Okay.
520만 won. So that means, still assuming you're a 4-person household, if you make between 4 and 6 million won per month, you are in the middle class.
Okay. Well, we get that. But you said, there's a difference, basically how people feel about their economic status versus where they actually are.
Right. So what's really interesting about South Korea is that fewer people who are actually in the middle class think they are.
Oh.
So yeah, we said 60% of people are actually in the middle class.
Okay.
Many of them think, I'm not. I'm actually lower. So of the households that made between 4 and 5 million won, again, solidly in the middle class, only fewer than 70% of people thought they were in the middle class. Even those making more, 5 to 6 million won group, declined from 83% to 73% thinking they were in that 중산층.
Okay.
So the reason, it's all about perspective.
Yes, very important. So what do people think, so-called middle class households or families look like?
Here's the thing, though. It's less about how much you actually make, but more about how much goes out of your bank account. And before the show, we were talking about spending.
Yeah.
We're talking about, money just going out, like throwing money out the window, just leaking. So for a 4-person household that makes 6.8 million won, they spent 4.2 million won let's go back. For what people think a middle-class family looks like.
Okay.
It would be a family that makes 6.8 million won.
Okay.
They would spend 4.2 million won and hold 940 million won in overall assets. That's according to 농협 data. But by the way, that figure, making 6.8 million won and having almost 10억 won in assets, that would bring you closer to the top 10%. So that would make you rich, just full out rich. So, as they say, grass is always greener. 남의 떡이 더 커 보이죠? But there's actually a reason for this. We're not just being greedy because a family of 4, it depends on how old those 4 people are. Say you have teenage kids. You have teenagers or kids in college. You pay for the necessities, which includes 학원 fees, college tuition. What are you left with?
Nothing.
Nothing, exactly.
I can tell you.
So there's also the housing burden if you are paying for mortgages, interest rates. So tighter budgets make people think, well, I'm not comfortable. Middle class is supposed to be at least economically stable, comfortable. I don't feel that way. So this, again, simply isn't about greed. It's really telling of our current society's trend towards upward mobility, 계층 이동 가능성. And experts are of the opinion that economic growth and quality job creation are really of the essence.
Yes, indeed. And I'm just going to let out, on behalf of everybody out there, the 한숨, because we all feel it.
Let's all just exhale.
Yes. All right, up next, we reported that there is a resurgence of COVID cases across Asia, and the Korean health authorities have finally spoken up about this.
Right. So the Korean Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures Headquarters said that some nearby countries, we're talking about Hong Kong, China, and Thailand, they're seeing an increase in coronavirus cases and that this is concerning. However, they did explain that in most countries, including the US, UK, and Japan, they are showing a fairly low confirmation rate of 6%. And for South Korea, our hospitalized COVID patients, they've been also stayed fairly stable for the past month. So immediately we're okay, but countries around us are seeing high figures. But given the trend from last summer, we do tend to see summertime COVID spikes. Authorities are preemptively preparing for a possible summer resurgence. So they therefore urge the public to follow infectious disease prevention methods when traveling abroad to countries with these higher figures.
Yes.
And also report to the airport quarantine officials when you're coming back from such countries and you feel symptoms. Also, for seniors and those living or working for these infection vulnerable facilities, you can still get vaccinated, and the authorities do recommend that you do. The government has extended the COVID vaccination period to June 30th.
Okay, well, good to know. Thank you for giving us all the good information we need to know for hour number 1. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
Thank you.
All right, we are ready for our first song break of the morning. This is 달리기 by SES. Welcome back, everybody. Let's get to our text topic. Today, we're talking about here in Korea, we usually call them debit cards. In the States, we call them check cards versus credit cards. Which do you prefer? Which do you usually use? And are you into like the whole like 적립, like the, accumulating points and the reward systems? There are so many, by the way. Like, for example, I'm sure many people go to like bakeries, and that's a common place where they always ask like, oh, do you want the reward points? Do you want to, add on to your points and whatnot? And let's get to some of your responses. So first up, we have Benny, who says, for me, our family uses a lot of debit cards, and so that's what we usually use, okay? So thank you. So by the way, debit card, check card, they're synonymous. Same thing there. It's just a different terminology for different countries. And William is celebrating a birthday, June 1st, which is June 1st is in California right now. In the States, it is June 1st. So happy birthday to you. And we also have a member in the family, shout out to Haley as well, who celebrated yesterday. So they have the same birthday, just in different parts of the world. And I see a message from Michael who said, he participated in a volleyball tournament, 배구 대회에서 나갔는데 왼손 약지 근육이 끊어져서 끊어졌대요. So he made in his little left pinky finger, the muscle apparently is torn, so he has to get treatment for it. I don't know. Do you need to get surgery, or are they going to just hold it in place? I'm not sure. Whatever it is, of course, we're all rooting for you, hoping for the best. And by the way, how did you do in that tournament? Let us know as well. All right, we're going to get to Michael, our Michael, Kang, in just a moment. It is time for Cultural Interlude. That means Michael's here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was awesome.
Oh, tell us why. Wait. Before we get into that.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you about whether you prefer using a check card or debit card versus like a particular credit card, without giving names though, of any company names.
Yeah. Very easy question for me. Credit card all the way.
Is there a particular reason?
Because there are definitely a lot of benefits.
Rewards, right? Benefits.
Yeah, you can get, and I think the biggest reward that you can get is like you can get a discount for certain coffee shops, for example.
Yes.
And then when you pay your bills, they also have those discount benefits as well for apartment bills and stuff.
That's true.
Yeah. So I have 3 or 4 credit cards that I just switch every time I need them, depending on what kind of benefits I need. So,
smart.
Yeah.
Smart
I love
consumer.
It. Yeah.
All right, we're going to dive into Cultural Interlude. So you sound like you had a fantastic weekend.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason.
And I got sunburns all over my place, like.
I thought you were going to say I got married.
No.
No,
okay. That's a whole different issue. I mean, oof. I did not expect that.
아니 너무 행복해 보여요 지금.
I am happy. I mean,
okay.
yeah. But marriage aside, I mean, let's talk about that later. But last weekend I was up in Seoul actually to participate in the 2025 Seoul Jazz Festival.
Ooh.
Yes, it was an amazing weekend for me. And so since I'm talking about, festivals, I wanted to let you guys know, tell the waivers out there how the festival was, and maybe also share some of the upcoming festivals in Busan that I'd actually like to recommend.
Okay, so first we're going to begin with the Seoul Jazz Festival because you said you attended. Did you participate, or you just went to watch, or what was it like?
Yeah, I participated. I watched the first half. It went over for 3 days, and I was for the first and the second one. Overall, it was amazing.
Yes.
But, before I get into the details, just to give you a short introduction of what Seoul Jazz Festival is.
Yes.
It's a jazz festival in South Korea held every May. So along with the Charasom International Jazz Festival, which is held every fall in Charasom, Gapyeong County, it is considered one of the 2 major jazz festivals in Korea. The festival is famous for inviting solid jazz and non-jazz artists performing on multiple indoor and outdoor stages, and attendees can choose performances according to their preferences, which I loved, by the way. So as a result, while jazz still remains the core, there are also a lot of pop artists and indie rock bands you can find at the festival. So it has gradually transformed into a more general music festival, going beyond the jazz genre. You
Yes.
know? And this shift likely reflects an intention to appeal to a broader audience. Some international artists return frequently to the festival, and they are seemingly charmed by Korean fans' stage manners and sing-alongs. And one of them is Wouter Hamel, for instance.
Ooh.
And he's been a very, very frequent guest at the festival since 2009. So think about that, like almost, how many years is that? 16 years? He's been around in Korea every year.
He's really famous, and like every time I hear his name, I think of that song, April,
Oh yeah,
May, June. Is
it's
that what
like
it's called?
I forget the title, but yeah, it's
Right,
a
right.
classic.
Yeah, every like spring we play it.
Yeah, and then like he was here this year as well, and I could tell he's getting older. But you know, older doesn't mean age is just a number.
It is.
Yeah, age is just a number.
That's what we claim. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like so much fun. Any fun stories, like, that, you actually saw or experienced at the festival?
Oh yes, there actually was. That's why I'm so happy. So this year was very remarkable in that the festival invited some of the world's leading jazz bands and artists, like one of my favorite jazz bands in the world, Snarky Puppy was there.
Yes.
James Collier was there. And Yusuf Dayes, who's a very, very famous jazz drummer from London. And I actually ran into Snarky Puppy's bassist and leader, Michael League. And I took photos with him. And he said that this was his first visit to South Korea in 11 years. So apparently he had a gig back in 2014 in South Korea, but he wasn't able to come back since. This is his first time in 11 years. And he said that he was very happy to be back.
Okay.
And during his show, there was a moment where one of the audience actually brought a bass guitar, and that was the exact same model that Michael League used. So what happened was Michael League actually had this guy come up to the stage, take the guy's bass, and actually use it himself to perform the rest of his gig. So for this guy, I mean, this must have been a dream come true.
He probably died and went to heaven. I mean, just saying, because if you're so into their music where you buy an instrument and then the actual guy comes, the performer comes and says, hey, let me perform on that.
Yeah, I mean,
How amazing is this?
And what's even funnier is that he was from Busan. The guy, like, so he traveled all the way from Busan carrying his bass guitar, maybe hoping that his guitar can, make an appeal. Yeah,
right.
And
눈에 띄어야 되잖아요.
그러니까요.
예.
And Michael actually saw this guy, and actually played the bass guitar for him. So. Yeah, I mean, one of the best moments of his life.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, that bass guitar now, does that mean like it went up in value? Or at least it's worth more in his heart, 마음속에.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, like, if you sell, if you decide to sell this bass guitar on like one of those secondhand stores online, I mean, it's going to worth a lot more. But also possibly one of his best moments as well, right?
I'm
in
thinking
life.
he's probably not going to sell it. I mean,
Yeah,
if
he
he's
will.
a huge fan.
If it was me, I would definitely keep it. Yeah, and cherish it as a family treasure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, anyways, Seoul Jazz Festival is only one of so many music festivals that will be coming up this summer.
Okay.
And let's not forget that Busan has also some of the super exciting music festivals coming up in the next few months, and you don't want to miss them.
Oh, yes. And when we think Busan, we think summer, fun, festivals.
Yes.
So what do we have in the lineup for festivals in Busan?
So we have so many festivals, but this time we're just sticking to the music festivals, okay? So first off is the 2025 Busan 1 month festival, 1 month festival. The festival actually began yesterday.
Okay.
And for the entire month of June, there's going to be a show every day throughout various venues in Busan City. Today, for example, the festival is inviting classical guitarists Ko Chung-jin and Ko Jung-hyun to perform at the Opera Baum, which is a concert venue dedicated to classical music in the city. And tomorrow, they're bringing in a crossover artist group, La Luce, to perform at the Ajit Art Center, and the list continues every day for the rest of this month.
Yes.
So you can definitely check out Busan 1 month festival online to check the daily schedules for the festival.
It's an entire month. How great is that?
Yeah.
But we also have the Busan Maru International Music Festival, right?
Yeah. We still have a couple of months for this, but it's always nice to mark your calendars in advance. So the Busan Maru International Music Festival is Busan's most respected and most represented classical music festival. And this year, the festival will take place from September 2nd to 21st under the theme of Soul in Classics.
Oh, but this is not Seoul.
Yeah.
It's like Soul.
It's
Seoul.
Soul.
Yes,
Yeah.
in classics. Love it.
The festival will be inviting renowned figures in the classical music scene from around the world, including Gustavo Rivero Weber, a world-renowned conductor from Mexico, pianist Alexander Yakolev, and more. The festival is also inviting up-and-coming classical musicians in and from Busan to perform.
Okay.
And I am very happy to announce, it's my sort of a charang right here,
charang.
that a number of musicians I've been producing for in Busan have been selected to join the festival as Busan's finest musicians.
아, 감독님 멋있어요.
제 자랑입니다.
자랑해도 돼요.
조금 I'm proud of myself. I mean, not me, but also for the
Yes, of
musicians.
course.
Yeah, and this is how it goes. You know, I love having people for festivals, and this is going to be great.
Right,
So.
and the fact I love that it's not just like the famous, already famous musicians, but the fact that they're also taking the time to focus, spotlight
Exactly.
the up and coming ones.
Yeah.
Because everybody was once up and coming, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
and I think it's a great program. I mean, Busan Maru International Music Festival, in that regard, is not just for the established, already successful musicians,
Exactly.
but it's also a venue where they give out the opportunity for new artists to join.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So that's during the summer, right? However, it looks like, September, kind of like the tail end of summer going into fall is going to be an exciting month for Busan because we have another festival for that month.
Yes, and I'm actually very, very excited for this. It's the one and only Busan International Rock Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this year, it's taking place from September 26th to September 28th. So that means it's right after Busan Maru Festival.
Yes.
Because that's going to end on the 21st. So just, get a week of rest.
Yes.
And then come back for this one as well. The festival was established in the year 2000. So
already.
It already has a tradition of 25 years, right? And has been taking place every year since. It began as a small local and free festival. So it used to be free of charge.
It used to be.
I cherish those days.
Free is good. In this
Free is
economy, free anything, but especially if you're treated to, music and it's free.
Yeah. But that does not mean that this year's rock festival is not, it doesn't worth much. No, on the contrary.
Yes.
We have to be there. So the festival gradually expanded in scale, especially after the discontinuation of the Valley Rock Festival. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Valley Rock Festival used to be one of the biggest major rock festivals in Korea. And they, introduced paid admissions.
Right. If I remember correctly, you can pay for 1 day, and if you get the 2-day package, usually that's how they do it. There's a slight discount if you want to go for the whole.
Yeah, 1 day, 2 day, or the 3 full days. Yeah.
Yes.
And now it has established itself alongside the Pentaport Rock Festival as one of Korea's 2 major rock festivals.
Nice, yes.
As for the festival's musical direction, in the early 2000s, it was known for featuring intense rock genres. So very the intense ones.
Like
so
headbanging,
yeah, like
ro-
thrash metal. Yeah, hardcore punk.
Were you ever into it? Did you ever have like long hair? Were you like a headbanger?
I mean, I wish.
감독님.
I mean, if I had long hair, I mean, my head is already too big. You can't imagine how big my hair. I mean, my head must have looked.
No.
But there was a time that I was a huge fan. I'm still am.
But,
like I was really into rock music, and I would listen to like those famous artists like Metallica, Rammstein, like the German, like the solid like metal rock. You know. So
interesting.
yeah, so these were the very intense genres that this festival used to focus on. But since the 2010s,
Yes.
the focus on these heavier genres gradually declined, and it gave way to a lineup centered more around Korean indie artists. So it's also, giving out more opportunities for
Yes.
newer artists,
That's
upcoming
true.
artists. So after the full transition to a paid festival in the 2020s, the lineup has shifted to include major international rock bands and headliners alongside popular domestic bands, aligning more closely with the style of other large Korean rock festivals.
Yes.
So beyond the annual event itself, I told you, the festival also runs programs to discover and support local amateur bands by offering them opportunities to perform on stage.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this year the festival's bringing big names like the Smashing Pumpkins. Do you
No
remember?
way. Are you serious?
Do you remember them? Yeah, I mean, like
coming?
They're coming. They're coming. So, the Smashing Pumpkins. Like for those waivers out there who don't know this band, you should. They were made. I think they were established in 1988. So they're pretty like they're a long-standing band.
Yes,
and they've been around for some time. And they basically like created my childhood.
They really shaped your early musical childhood.
Yeah, they're an amazing band, and if you're interested in rock music at all, you should come and definitely watch at least the Smashing Pumpkins.
Who else?
And there is Kukasten. We all know him, and he's been around with and he's been coming to this festival almost every year. So but he's still one of the best Korean rock bands out there. And I think this one is my other favorite, and this is the Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, the ska. So ska is another genre. It's sort of like rock, but it has some jazz elements to it.
Got it.
So it's like a combination of the two genres, and it's a big band basically. Like, they have this huge brass instruments like coming in, and it's basically an orchestra. Yeah, the jazz big band with a little bit of rock and jazz elements into it. Very, very, very nice band to listen to. So if you're interested, make sure you check them out. And these are just, the first of the lineups. So what that means, so they just revealed their first lineup, including these artists.
Yes.
And I can say that I'm very, very excited for the rest of the lineup to be revealed soon.
So it's kind of like a teaser.
Exactly.
They're slow dripping it.
They do this every time.
Yes.
At other festivals as well. Yeah.
It works though.
Yeah, it
kind
works.
of piques your interest. You're like, who else is coming?
Yeah.
Do I need to go?
So I'm waiting
3
for the
days?
second lineup, right? And whoever's coming, I'm so excited because already we have Smashing Pumpkins coming.
Yeah.
But, who knows who else might be coming for the second lineup.
But who would have thought like Smashing Pumpkins coming to
Yeah,
Busan?
I mean Busan. But come on, like
Right. That's pretty
Busan, we
major.
deserve it. We deserve some Smashing Pumpkins.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for thoroughly going over your personal experience at the Seoul Jazz Festival and also the full lineup of what we can expect in the summer going into early fall. So thank you so much for coming in, giving us a wealth of information, and of course, we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
And with that, we have so much more in hour number 2 as well. A big thanks, of course, to Michael with thorough reporting on all the festivals that you can enjoy coming up in Busan. Love it. We're going to get to our final song for hour number 1. We just spoke about him, Wouter Hamel. So can't resist. Although we are in June, we have March, April, May. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
March, April, May, June, July. The sun don't shine, my Valentine is far across the ocean. My bed feels cold, my love's in toad, and I can't find the potion. The birds don't sing, it's almost spring, but blizzards rage inside me. I hibernate and hide away till the sun comes out to find me. 'Cause March, April, May will wash away the gray. June and July will make you soar up in the sky. March, April, May will make you sing and sway. June and July, let's give love a try. I can't return, my bridges burned and sabotage behind me. I've tried so hard, played all my cards, but fortune just can't find me. When stars align, we'll intertwine, but winter days have tied me. I hibernate and hide away till the sun comes out to find me. 'Cause March, April, May will wash away the gray. June and July will make you soar up in the sky. March, April, May will make you sing and sway. June and July, let's give love a try. March, April, May will wash away the gray. June and July will make you soar up in the sky. March, April, May will make you sing and sway. June and July, let's give love a try. March, April, May will wash away the gray. June and July will make you soar up in the sky. March, April, May will make you sing and sway. June and July, let's give love a try. March, April, May will wash away the gray. June and July will make you soar up in the sky. March, April, May will make you sing and sway. June and July, let's give love a try. Let's give love a try.
Your bridge to the world. BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
선을 하나 넘었을 뿐인데 익숙한 세상이 아름답게 다가옵니다. 야외 조각 공원과 함께 세계 각국 초청 작가들의 전시가 지그재그 아트센터에서 당신을 기다립니다. 예술은 직선을 걷지 않는다. 지그재그 아트센터.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
From Busan to the world, feel the power of Korean culture. Now, Busan is ready to play a song that will touch hearts around the world together with global fans. 문화와 바다가 만나는 도시 부산. 열정과 희망이 가득한 글로벌 관광 허브 도시 부산. 글로벌 K-pop 팬들이 하나 되는 축제 부산 원아시아 페스티벌. 한류 콘텐츠의 심장이 부산에서 뜁니다. The place where the Korean wave begins. A cultural hub blending tradition and innovation. 늘 새롭고
머물고 싶고 다시 찾고 싶은 도시 부산. Play, work, live, 부산. 이 캠페인은 부산의 관광 가치를 창조하는 글로벌 플랫폼 부산관광공사와 함께합니다.
Let's get some fresh air. What's going on? Why can't I see anything?
It's the yellow dust. You have to close the window. Hey, I know what will improve your eyesight. Look at more beautiful things. Like me.
Can you tell me what I actually need to do during yellow dust days?
Fine. Here are your guidelines for days with yellow dust. First, check your windows to make sure the yellow dust can't get inside. Turn on the air purifier. Second, refrain from outside activities if possible. If you do go out, wear a mask. When you get home, thoroughly wash your hands and feet. Third, fully wash any fruits or vegetables that have been exposed to yellow dust. And last of all, get plenty of water. Keep up to date on weather forecasts for the latest yellow dust information.
This campaign was brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어방송.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's now 8 o'clock. This is hour number 2 of Morning Wave in Busan. This is Spotlight News. Candidates make a last-ditch campaign push during final weekend. Presidential candidates yesterday pressed on with their final efforts to consolidate their support base and persuade swing voters yesterday as June 3rd, tomorrow's election day, looms near. Democratic Party or DP's Lee Jae-myung campaigned in his hometown of Andong and across the wider Gyeongsang region. He vowed to ensure fair treatment for patriots and veterans who dedicated themselves to defending the country. The People Power Party or PPP's Kim Moon-soo campaigned across Seoul and Gyeonggi and fought allegations of public opinion manipulation through a conservative group, Libak School. Reform Party's Lee Jun-soo, on the other hand, made a final push in Suwon and Seoul, urging that a vote for his party is a vote for a balanced country. South Korea's exports down 1.3% on year in May. South Korea's exports dropped 1.3% from a year earlier in May, snapping a 3-month winning streak as outbound shipments to the United States sharply went down amid the U.S. President Donald Trump administration's sweeping tariff policies. Outbound shipments came to $57.3 billion last month, compared with $58.02 billion a year ago, according to data compiled by the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy yesterday, as imports shrank 5.3% on year to $50.3 billion, resulting in a trade surplus of $6.94 billion. Industry Minister An Deok-keun said that the U.S. tariffs seem to be affecting the global economy and South Korea's exports, proven by a decrease in South Korea's exports to the two biggest markets, the U.S. and China. U.S. raises issue with South Korea's economic restrictions and tariff talks. The United States has called for a resolution of South Korea's restrictions on beef imports, living modified organisms or LMOs, overseas transfer of high-precision map data, and other non-tariff measures in their latest trade negotiations. The three items were mentioned in the second round of technical discussions on various trade issues, including trade imbalance and non-tariff barriers between the two countries in Washington last month, according to government sources. Seoul and Washington have been working to craft a package deal on trade issues, including tariffs, non-tariff barriers, and economic cooperation by July 8th, when the 90-day pause on the Trump administration reciprocal tariffs will end. China installs 3 more structures near overlapping waters with South Korea. China has installed 3 more large-scale buoys near overlapping waters with South Korea, bringing the total number of such Chinese floating devices in the waters to 13. South Korea's Navy detected the 3 buoys in international waters near the provisional maritime zone between the two countries in May 2023, according to the military, which said it is closely monitoring activities within the zone. Tensions between Seoul and Beijing have grown over the maritime area that allows joint management of marine resources and prohibits activities beyond navigation and fishing, as China has set up installations within the zone, including a fixed steel structure in 2022. Ukraine launches major drone attacks against Russia. Ukraine has launched a large-scale drone attack against Russian military bombers in Siberia, striking more than 40 warplanes in an operation President Volodymyr Zelensky said will be in history books. Several Russian and Ukrainian media outlets reported that Ukraine carried out the operation by launching drones from trucks parked near military airfields deep inside Russia. The operation took place a day before a new round of peace talks is set to take place in Istanbul. And this was Spotlight News. And this is Ellie Goulding's Love Me Like You Do.
The color of my blood, you're the cure, you're the pain, you're the only thing I wanna touch. Never knew that it could mean so much, so much. You're the fear, I don't care, 'cause I've never been so high. Follow me through the dark, let me take you past the satellites. You can see the world you brought to life, to life. So love me like you do, la la, love me like you do. Love me like you do, la la, love me like you do. Touch me like you do, ta ta, touch me like you do. What are you waiting for? Fading in, fading out, on the edge of paradise. Every inch of your skin is a holy grail I've gotta find. Only you can set my heart on fire, on fire. Yeah, I'll let you set the pace, 'cause I'm not thinking straight. My head's spinning around, I can't see clear no more. What are you waiting for?
The BG says waglwagle. And we're going to get to the woggly stories with Haley in just a moment. But we have some additional news that we need to go over because, you know, Trump's tariffs, talk of the town. And we're in this like whirlwind again. So we need to cover this.
Yeah, we're back on the roller coaster. So let's strap ourselves in and talk about the latest in terms of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs. So he announced on Wednesday of this past week, local time, that the U.S. will double its current tariff on steel and aluminum imports. So that would be from the current 25% to 50%. And excuse me, let me correct. It'll start on this Wednesday, local time, so June 4th. He was addressing a crowd of supporters in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And this location is important because that is the steel capital of the United States. And stated that this would help boost the local steel industry and reduce the country's reliance on China. He also announced another major deal, a $14 billion investment in the area through a partnership between U.S. Steel and Japan's Nippon Steel, which Japan's Nippon Steel was trying to buy out U.S. Steel, and that was something both his predecessor, President Joe Biden, and Trump were against. However, it seems that he has gone back on the issue and saying that they will do something great and cooperate.
Okay, so let's look at how this double steel and aluminum tariff affects South Korean companies.
It'll absolutely make things tougher. According to the Korean industry, the U.S. accounts for 13% of all of South Korea's steel exports. So the industry says that if, and well, rather when the tariffs go up to 50%, this will immediately lead to lower sales in the U.S. because steel actually has a relatively low profit margin. So higher tariffs do lead to immediate increase in prices. And by the way, just in the first quarter of this year, with the 25% tariffs, South Korean exports of steel to the U.S. decreased by 10%.
I see.
And one industry insider said that a 50% tariff could make it impossible for South Korea to export to the States. And then there's the bigger picture that's a part of this trade war between the U.S. and China. So the announcement in Pittsburgh, it came just hours after Trump wrote on Truth Social, his social media platform, that China broke the terms of trade with the States and saying that he's done being, quote, Mr. Nice Guy, unquote. So even domestically in the U.S., there is a dispute over the tariffs in the courts. Earlier last week, we reported that the Court of International Trade ordered the Trump administration to halt the taxes, but the upper courts, the Federal Appeals Court, ordered them to continue. So the conclusion that I'm just going to tell you for the time being is everything is up in the air again.
Well, thank you for reporting on this very important story. And now we're going to get into the woggly side of still news stories, but still. So early voting hit 34.74% last Thursday, Friday, but there were a lot of issues reported as well.
Right. So several issues with the National Election Commission, the NEC's management of early voting. So several, but I'm just giving you the top ones. There was a ballot from last year's 22nd general election that was found inside the ballot box that was in Gimpo. This was found in the process of the NEC officials and observers inspecting the ballot boxes before they were put to use. So that means at least one vote wasn't counted in last year's election, something that we don't like to see. Another case also from Busan, last year's ballot found inside the box. So the NEC says these ballots were likely left behind from last year's election, and it is looking into the cases. And this is also a major one. An election official was arrested after she allegedly voted twice, once for her husband and then attempted to vote the second time using her own ID. So on Thursday, earlier in the morning, she allegedly used her husband's ID to vote and then later used her own ID a few hours later. Someone called the police and reported someone's trying to vote twice. They checked and they arrested her right on the spot. So it turns out she was a contract public official for a district clinic who was hired through the NEC to oversee and help out with the elections. She's been fired from both positions, and the court yesterday approved her arrest warrant.
They're taking it seriously, as
Absolutely.
they should. Yes.
It's voter fraud.
And then there were cases of people trying to break and enter into the NEC offices.
Right. So a man and a woman were arrested by Seoul's Kuro police early Friday morning for trespassing. So they entered the NEC headquarters building the previous night and lied down in front of the offices, claiming they were there to monitor the ballot boxes. Not of breaking and entering for this other case, but Gyeonggi Yongin Seobu police received a report that a ballot stamp for Lee Jae-myung was found inside an unused envelope for out-of-district early voters. But once the police passed the case on to the NEC says it suspects that this was actually staged by the person who reported it. So kind of an attempt, maybe alleged attempt to incite controversies of voter fraud. The voter received an already stamped ballot from somebody else and then put it inside an empty envelope before reporting it.
Okay.
The NEC is going to ask the police to investigate.
Oh, and upon these controversies, the chair of the NEC issued a statement.
Right. So the chair of the National Election Commission, No Tae-ak, issued a public statement on Saturday. He admitted that there were some shortcomings in management and apologized for causing concerns to the voters. And he vowed a thorough management for Election Day tomorrow and also vowed stern action against organized attempts at disturbing early voting by groups that argue voter fraud, which he called illegal acts that shake up the very foundation of democracy.
Indeed. So once again, that's what happened. Tomorrow, let's hope things go smoothly. For our next story, we're going to get into this arson case that popped up on a Seoul subway.
Right. So a fire broke out of a Line 5 subway train in Seoul around 8:43 in the morning on Saturday.
Yes.
The train was between Yeoinaru and Mapo stations, which are crowded stations.
Yes.
So according to witnesses, the suspect, a man in his 60s, entered a subway holding a gasoline container, spread gasoline on the floor, and used a lighter torch to set some clothing and other kindling on fire.
Okay.
The passengers yelled fire and ran out. About 400 passengers evacuated out of the trains. 21 of them did wind up going to the hospital, but thankfully for minor injuries like smoke inhalation and sprained ankles. And Seoul Metro says that there's about 330 million won worth of property damage.
It must have been terrifying. And the police caught the suspect, though.
They did, but he was actually passed out on the subway. The other passengers, not realizing that he was the suspected arsonist, helped him. They woke him up and helped him to evacuate. He was talking to the other passengers on his way out, and the police very astutely saw that he had a lot of soot on his hands and stopped him. And he was put under urgent arrest and is being questioned. Reports say that he apparently told the police that he was unhappy about the results of his divorce case, and this is why he set the fires. There is an arrest warrant hearing scheduled for him at 10:30 this morning.
Wow, that is like straight out of like a storybook. But a disaster or worse was averted thanks to the calm reaction by the conductor and the passengers who helped to put the fire out.
Right, and because for some people who have been in South Korea for a long time, seeing the word subway fire, it kind of triggers a gut reaction because there was a tragic, fatal Daegu subway fire, also an arson attempt that led to many, many lives lost. So this time, the conductor, 기관사, and some of the passengers used a fire extinguisher on board to quickly put out the fire.
Yes.
And according to a Nokut News exclusive, the Yeongdeungpo office of Seoul Metro had a live fire drill just last month over kind of the exact circumstances. And also, thankfully, this conductor, a veteran who's been on the job for 28 years. The fire authorities even commented on how effective the initial response was. The conductor also drove the subway to the emergency evacuation site a few stations out so the trains could operate again. It was only after he fully completed his job, he began to vomit, which is a sign of smoke inhalation. He was taken to the hospital. Also this, and by the way, after the Daegu tragedy, the subway, Seoul Metro, and other metro corporations, they completely redid the inside of the train, so it's fairly fire retardant.
But
people do say safety inspections are written in blood, and unfortunately, it had to happen. But thankfully, crisis was averted in this case.
Indeed, and what a hero and heroes, passengers as well. All right, we're going to move on for now. A court has filed an injunction from Adore, and this is regarding NewJeans and their activities. What's going on?
Or what will be non-activities according to this injunction. So, of course, NewJeans and their still current agency Adore, who knows? They're going through a court battle right now over termination of that contract. Adore recently filed a case to Seoul Central District Court arguing that the contract is still valid. So that's the big case that's going on.
Okay.
However, back in March, Adore filed an injunction, 가처분 신청, against NewJeans to basically ban them from signing any contracts with third parties, essentially blocking them from working in the entertainment industry independently.
Yes.
So a decision that came down this past Friday, it was a follow-up to the injunction, more of the practical side, 실효적 강제, of practical enforcement. So the civil court upheld Adore's request and basically said if the group goes against the injunction and signs any contracts, NewJeans has to pay 1 billion won per time per member to Adore. So if they go on to stage once, it's 50 billion won.
Or
excuse me, it's 5 billion won rather.
Yes.
This covers general activities as musicians, celebrities for ads, and any events or commercial activities. So it stated that the reason for this this very stringent ruling is because NewJeans, they performed under the new name NJZ, which still sounds like NewJeans, just 2 days after the initial injunction, which was a violation, thus seeing this as grounds for further violations.
I see. So that's the latest facet of that case. Well, next, with a long weekend coming up for Memorial Day and, of course, peak summer vacation season coming up soon, a lot of people are saving money to travel. So I guess we can take a page out of this guy's playbook.
And it ties to our text topic of credit card points. A 33-year-old American man, he's traveled to 33 countries, but mostly on credit card points.
Wow.
So pretty much kind of for free. His goal is to go to 35 countries by the time he's 35. He's well on his way. Here's the kicker. He's a social worker, and they are famous for not having high salaries, with an annual salary of $78,000, which isn't much in the U.S., especially depending on where he lives.
Cost of living.
He's a travel hacker, though. Smart traveler, strategically uses credit card points and rewards to score free or discounted flights and hotel stays. And this man, David Doe, he's redeemed well over 1 million points and miles in the past 8 years.
Is this doable? Like how?
I mean, obviously. So he has, get this, 30 active credit cards, 30, which he rotates because depending on what month it is, credit card companies will offer different points and different miles. So for example, in March of this year, he spent over $700 on restaurants on one card that gave him 5% cash back on that spending.
Okay.
Also, just knowing kind of when to rotate cards. And he also, of course, travels on cheaper airlines and modest hotels. So this is kind of an inspiration for us all.
Indeed.
Smart traveler.
But I mean, to
30.
keep track of 30 credit cards,
and
I
not
can't do
lose
it.
them physically.
Yes,
right?
yes. Well, good of him. Well, thank you for going over all the Woggly stories and the news story. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
See you tomorrow.
All right, now it's time for your updated traffic and weather. Here's your updated traffic report. There's an accident on Sasanglo from Jure intersection to the Seobu terminal direction. A 3-vehicle accident at the Busan tax service Semuso intersection. Please be aware of this area. It is congested on Baegang Gwanmun-lo from Baegang Tunnel and the Ogui intersection in both directions. There is some traffic detected on Mandokdaero from Sukdong to Deokcheon intersection. Also looking slow on Beonyeonglo's Wondong ramp going away from the city right now. It's currently 18 degrees Celsius under cloudy skies here in Busan. It's going to go up to just 22 today. Rain is forecast later today. Across the country, it's already raining in parts of Gangwon, Chungcheong, and Jeolla right now, with the rain clouds spreading to the rest of the country by this afternoon. This was your traffic and weather. This is our special interview for Monday morning. The Trump administration has directed U.S. embassies globally to halt the scheduling of student visa interviews as it prepares to expand social media vetting of such applicants. This move significantly impacts international students around the world, including South Korea, and also notably those from China. To help us find out more about this very hot issue, we have Professor Matthew Boaz, Assistant Professor of Law at the Rosenberg College of Law at the University of Kentucky. Hi, welcome back to the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. First of all, we need an explanation about the background and underlying context for this particular decision.
Yes, so the Trump administration announced on Friday, and it's been doing this a lot lately, where they make decisions and announce them at the very end of the week, where it indicated that it was going to exercise more scrutiny in evaluating student visa applications, that it was going to look at different social media platforms and analyze students' participations and statements on those, and then also pause most interviews while it prepared to undertake those changes.
Yes, and so here we are today, and it seems that, students, I'm sure, might be quite nervous, but which types of student visa applicants are likely to be affected by this policy?
So primarily, these will be student visas who fit into the F, M, or J visa categories, which is the majority of student visa categories or categories through which students travel to the United States.
I see. And so the impact of this so-called pause, I'm sure, on international students is being felt right now, especially as, if we look at the cycle in the United States, the academic calendar, fall semester is kind of like the beginning of a new year in the United States, and that's coming upon us. So let's talk about the impact.
Absolutely. So there's two main concerns right now. One is on behalf of the universities who are trying to figure out who will be enrolling for the fall, how to accommodate them for housing, how to ensure that individuals will be able to travel to and remain in the United States. And the other is, of course, the students themselves. As your listeners may be aware, there's been a lot of uncertainty this spring. Students have been detained and arrested in the United States, and some have been targeted for deportation, largely because of statements or political statements. As of now, the courts have intervened in a number of ways to protect students, which I think is very good news. Unfortunately, what has happened right now with the statements made by Secretary of State Marco Rubio is to promote more uncertainty. We really don't have enough information right now to provide clarity either to students about what we know will happen or how it will happen, or to universities about what they should be advising their students or how they should prepare themselves.
So I think a big question right now is what happens to students in the U.S. who need to renew visas? I mean, students that are already there.
Absolutely. So all universities are required to have an international students office where they have an individual who is responsible for coordinating with students for how to renew their visas. Many have actual immigration attorneys on staff. The University of Kentucky hired one last year. So we would advise that anybody contact that point person within their own university. But I know that other universities, as information is made available, will be providing broad information to students. The Penn State Law School has a very good advisory that they tend to distribute when it becomes available, when they have all of the information. And we expect that in the coming weeks, we will get more information about how this pause will operate.
Right. And on an anecdotal level, I'm hearing stories about how some students, for fear of not getting their visas renewed, are afraid to even come back home, as they usually do during break, and then to re-enter the U.S. They're very nervous about it.
Yes, so I've had many students who I teach, those who I don't teach but are enrolled in the university, who made decisions not to leave because they were concerned about being screened upon re-entry.
Yes.
And now I think there are more who are concerned about the status of their visa, but they know they are more protected if they remain in the United States and they want to finish their degrees if possible. I think that's the wise thing to do, but of course that's very disruptive and I think it's disappointing for students.
I'm sure. So what does the new social media screening policy actually involve? Do we have any details about what this might entail?
So the government has indicated that they would do this in the past with regard to refugees or those who are seeking asylum status in the United States. So as of now, my understanding and how they've rolled it out in the past is that they might use algorithms or AI to go and look at individual social media profiles, Facebook, Instagram, things like that are broadly available. They won't ask for an individual's login information to go in and look at their accounts. It would just be what that person is posting and making publicly available. So the typical advice is to look at your own profile even years in the past. Is there anything that could be considered anti-American or specifically anti-Trump? Those might be key target words. In the past 4 months, what we've seen for most students is Israel or even just pro-Palestinian language that has been targeted.
I see. So in terms of the students and their information, so you made it seem, Professor, like they might be using these algorithms or AI programs to generally look at posts that have been made public. But in theory, let's say, for example, my Insta account is set on private. So technically, if I were a student and it was set on private, could the government, the U.S. government say, hey, we need to know more information about you? Could
Sure.
they make you, switch over to a public profile?
I think that's unlikely for a number of reasons.
Okay.
However, when you do enter into the country, they may ask to review your device and they could get access to a private profile. Therefore, most individuals would advise that all of those apps be deleted or that you make that profile private when you actually come to and arrive at the airport into the United States.
Okay. I fully understand now. So how might the suspension or the pause of these student visa interviews once again affect the universities? From what I understand, of course, it's different for every university. Anywhere between 20, even maybe up to 30% of a student's population at said universities are comprised of international students.
Correct. Yes. So it will have a major impact. Right now, obviously, it's the uncertainty, but the administration has made it clear that universities are a target, not just for international students, but for federal funding. Obviously, Harvard is the biggest example of this. They have a very high international student population and specifically a large portion from China. It does seem that there is a specific focus on Chinese students and that would be separate from what's happening with the social media, but an intense scrutiny that would be applied to them. But it's certainly very frustrating for universities who have been trying to make sense of this and advise students for 4 months without real clear answers on how to proceed.
Right. And for a final question, Professor, I would love to get a real feel of what's happening at your university without getting to the numbers or the specifics. How are international students feeling right now?
My understanding is that students are concerned. I had a law student who left before graduation when she graduated and didn't get to participate in ceremonies because she was so concerned. I think that most students are fearful about returning to their home countries and are missing out on important family events. I have a student from South Korea who won't be able to attend his sister's wedding potentially, which he's very disappointed.
Yes, indeed.
In general, I think that the university at large is very concerned about this and would like to have more predictability. Like you said, we're getting ready for the fall semester.
Right.
I think the hope is that there will be some clarity in the next few months, but I expect that there will be some potential lawsuits about this matter.
I see. Well, thank you so much for breaking it down for us once again. And of course, wishing you the best. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, this was Professor Matthew Boaz, and we talked about the situation on this interview pause on student visas concerning everybody involved, including universities and students and their families. We're going to take a short song. Right here it is. This is 회상 by 장범준.
길을 걸었지 누군가 옆에 있다고 느꼈을 때 나는 알아버려 했네 이미 그대 떠난 후라는 걸 나는 혼자 걷고 있던 거지 갑자기 바람이 차가워지네 마음은 얼고 나는 그곳에 서서 조금도 움직일 수 없었지 마치 얼어버린 사람처럼 나는 놀라서 있던 거지 달빛이 숨어서 느끼고 있네 떠나버린 그 사람 생각나네 돌아선 그 사람 생각나네 묻지 않았지 왜 나를 떠나느냐고 하지만 마음 너무 아팠네 이미 그대 돌아서 있는 걸 혼자 어쩔 수 없었지 미운 건 오히려 나였어 생각나네 돌아선 그 사람 생각나네 길을 걸었지 누군가 옆에 있다고
All right, welcome back. Waivers out there. We have some breaking news, and this might affect you as you head out on this Monday morning here in Korea. Samsung Pay has been experiencing problems with its payment transaction for the past hour. So there have been multiple online accounts of people saying that they haven't been able to use their Samsung Pay feature on their phones, advising others to take their physical credit card with them. Samsung Electronics says it is working on figuring out the cause behind this. So we wanted to break that to you because, of course, it's Monday morning once again. And I'll be back with Claire in just a moment. It is now time for News in Depth. We have our newscaster, Claire, in the studio with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good weekend.
I did.
Yes. So real quick, text topic, we are talking about card usage, whether you prefer check or debit card versus credit card. And do you do the whole the 적립 points and the reward points?
Oh, yes, I'm a credit card person.
Is it because of the different
the points and
rewards?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself with our listeners. We're going to dive into our first story. The countdown is almost over. Election day is tomorrow. D-1. But instead of calming down, it feels like the tension might still be kind of going up. So what's going on?
Oh, definitely. Just as we hit the final 24 hours, both major camps are wrestling with some unexpected turbulence. One involving former President Yoon Suk-yeol and the other involving Liberal commentator Yoo Si-min.
Yes, so let's start with Yoon.
So former President Yoon made headlines recently by publicly endorsing Kim Moon-soo, the conservative candidate from the People Power Party. The endorsement drew attention because it was delivered at a far-right rally hosted by controversial pastor Jeon Kwang-hoon.
And that does not sound like it went over well.
It didn't. Even inside the conservative camp, it stirred up a lot of discomfort, so much so that Kim Moon-soo had to respond publicly, distancing himself from Yoon. At a rally in Seoul, Kim bowed deeply and actually apologized for all the worry caused by talk of martial law and impeachment under the last administration.
So bowing publicly, that's a pretty strong signal.
Yes, very strong. He told voters, quote, from now on, no more talk of chaos. We'll focus on reviving the economy and creating jobs. It was clearly aimed at reassuring moderate voters and moving past the Yoon controversy.
Yes. So what is the party line now? I mean, are they supporting the apology?
Yes, the People Power Party has shifted to emphasizing economic plans, youth employment, and stability. But the Yoon moment definitely disrupted their message, especially among swing voters who didn't want to revisit old political divisions.
I see. Well, let's talk about the other side.
Over in the Democratic Party camp, the controversy comes from a very different place.
Okay.
Yoo Si-min, a high-profile progressive writer, made a comment about Kim Moon-soo's wife, Seol Na-young, calling her not in her right mind.
Oh, those are pretty strong words, and it could actually backfire, comments like that, right?
It really did. The phrase was widely criticized as disrespectful, especially toward a female labor activist. But Yoo quickly went on air to explain himself. He said the wording was too harsh and admitted that was his fault, but stressed he wasn't trying to insult women or workers.
I see. Well, what was he trying to say then?
So he explained that his comment was based on something called 내재적 접근법, or internal perspective.
Okay.
Basically, he said he was trying to understand Seol's behavior in context, not judging her personally. He also said he knows the couple personally from the past and was speaking from experience.
So it sounds like he may be trying to clarify and not really escalate the situation.
Exactly. He added that Seol's recent actions, like publicly attacking another candidate's spouse, seemed counterproductive and actually hurt her husband's chances. His phrasing was poor, but he insists his intent was to explain, not insult.
Well, how did the Democratic Party itself respond to this?
So they've kept their distance, making clear that Yoo's comments are his own and don't represent the party's message. They're trying to stay focused on policy and avoid being dragged into personal attacks.
I see. Well, both parties seem to be dealing with different kinds of, I guess, headaches. One with endorsements, the other with off-script supporters, right?
Exactly. For the People Power Party, it's about image control and reining its extreme voices. For the Democratic Party, it's damage control and making sure outside commentators don't distract from their message.
Yes, of course. Well, we'll be watching closely once again, reporting on what we know tomorrow. All right, what's next on our agenda?
So we're heading to healthcare, specifically a hot topic in Korea's national health insurance system, how it applies to foreign residents and their family members. There's been debate over foreign workers in Korea adding family members as health insurance dependents, some of whom don't live in Korea or pay into the system.
So, I don't know. This sounds so confusing. They get benefits without contributing?
That's the concern. Over 50,000 cases were flagged recently. Meanwhile, Korean dependents dropped 15% over 5 years, but foreign dependents stay around 195,000.
Okay, so what is the government doing?
They're tightening the rules, like requiring proof that dependents actually live in Korea. Some people may even need to pay back premiums.
Ooh, well, this sounds stressful for families, no?
It is, but the government says it's about fairness, not targeting foreigners.
And question is this, though, because, you see it on the internet, like, rumors and misinformation. Are foreign residents really hurting the system?
Surprisingly, no. The systems run a surplus from foreigners, over 700 billion won last year. So overall, foreign residents have been contributing more than they take out.
Okay, but it's not something like you hear every day, right? Because like the common adage is like,
the correction comment.
Right.
Yes, right. Some argue that the free rider label isn't fair, especially since Korea now relies on foreign workers in many industries. But there's still concern about fairness and making sure no one is abusing the system.
But that's true. I mean, we don't want any, whatever your nationality is, to abuse the system. So I assume, though, this is still a very hot topic online.
Very much so. Expat forums are buzzing. People want clearer info in multiple languages.
Okay.
And some are even calling for foreign residents to have more say in healthcare policy.
Interesting. So it does sound like a tricky issue with maybe no easy solution.
Definitely, it's about fairness, sustainability, and communication all at once.
That's a tough balance to upkeep. Okay.
The hardest.
Yes. We're going to move on to our next story, which is about what?
Time to head to Europe.
Okay.
France just announced a major expansion of its outdoor smoking bans as part of a broader anti-smoking campaign.
Oh, so what exactly are they banning?
So starting this year, smoking will be prohibited in more than 5,000 public outdoor spaces like beaches, parks, forests, and even near schools. And it's not just a recommendation, it comes with fines.
Well, it sounds like a pretty big shift. I don't know. Has France always been strict on smoking?
Not always. France has had a bit of a love-hate relationship with tobacco. Smoking indoors at cafes and restaurants was banned back in 2008, but smoking outdoors was largely untouched until now.
So we need to know what's behind this. What's driving this new push?
So that's health and the environment.
Okay.
The government is targeting secondhand smoking, especially exposure to children in public areas.
Okay.
They're also cracking down on litter, specifically cigarette butts, which are the most common form of litter in France.
Really interesting. So is there public support for this?
Surveys show mixed reactions. Many support it for health reasons, especially parents. But some smokers feel like they're being pushed too far, especially those who already feel they've been restricted indoors.
So is this tied to any bigger anti-smoking goal for France?
Yes, France has announced it wants to be a tobacco-free generation by 2032. That includes bans on disposable e-cigarettes, tighter advertising restrictions, and more education campaign in schools.
Well, Claire, it does sound like it's more about a long-term cultural change, right?
Exactly, and other countries are watching closely because France's strategy could serve as a model for broader tobacco control in Europe.
I see. So do you think other countries could follow suit?
Definitely, if France's policy proved effective, it might inspire similar moves elsewhere to protect public health.
Something to watch, and I'm sure the non-smokers are probably quietly celebrating.
Yes, either way, it shows how health policies are shifting with changing lifestyles.
Indeed. We're going to move on to our next story. So what's this one about?
So the main voting is Tuesday, tomorrow, June 3rd. Polling stations will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. You must vote at your assigned polling station based on your registered home address as of May 6th.
Yes, indeed. Well, let me ask you a question. What if someone moved recently?
So if you moved after May 2nd and updated your address after May 6th, you still need to vote at your old address's polling station.
Okay.
That's why early voting was so helpful. It allowed people to vote anywhere.
Let's remind our listeners, what should they bring?
So bring a valid photo ID, such as a resident registration card, passport, driver's license, or mobile ID like Pass or Kakao wallet. But screenshots of IDs aren't accepted.
Okay.
So you have to show it live on the app.
Okay, once again, no screenshots. So let's talk about the actual voting process.
Right. First, present your ID, then verify your name, receive your ballot, head into the booth, and mark your choice using only the official rubber stamp provided. Don't use your own seal, pen, or mark. It's illegal and could invalidate your vote.
And, was there a rumor about like using the personal seals, your personal 도장?
Again, totally false and illegal. Use only the official stamp.
Any other rules we need to know about?
Obviously, no photos, no sharing your vote. Keep it private.
Anything else that we should know, Claire?
Just this, vote smart and vote safe. Tomorrow's your chance to make your voice heard.
All right. Well, thank you, Claire, for bringing us the news in depth. And of course, we'll check in with you next week. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, actually, are you going to be here? Oh, no.
Yes,
next week.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Tomorrow as well, right?
With
Yes,
the
I just want to
latest
confirm.
updates and election day coverage. Until then, take care.
That's right. Once again, Clara will be joining us tomorrow. It's a special day here in Korea as we have been building up to the snap presidential election. So, I know some of you did early voting. If you haven't, well, tomorrow's the day. Looking at some of your other responses for our text topic, today we talked about, debit card, aka check cards versus credit cards. And so some of your responses, Umberto, he says, it depends, but he does use particular ones that have great points and benefits. So I can't name the cards, but if you're on our YouTube, right now, you can check out our chat room to maybe get some hints. And it's all about, I guess, the benefits for the credit card users. In terms of other people, for example, I believe it was Drift Monkey who said that he can't be trusted with a credit card. So debit all the way can be used anywhere, everywhere. I just save for what I want. So it seems like he's very much a smart consumer and sticking to that plan. Well, it's time to call it a wrap for today, of course. Wishing you nothing but the best today. Remember, later on in the afternoon, it might rain, so take your umbrella with you. And tomorrow, we're going to have special coverage, live, of course, of the presidential election. So I know some of you have the day off to go vote. We will be here live, so join us tomorrow. Have a wonderful Monday. Final song is Love on Top by Beyonce. Bye, everybody.
Bring the beat in. Honey, honey, I can see the stars all the way from here. Can't you see the glow on the window pane? I can feel the sun whenever you're near. Every time you touch me, I just melt away. Now everybody asks me why I'm smiling out from ear to ear. But I know nothing's perfect, but it's worth it after fighting through my tears. And finally you put me first. Baby, it's you. You're the one I love. You're the one I need. You're the only one I see. Come on, baby, it's you. You're the one that gives from all. You're the one I can always call when I need to make everything stop. Finally, you put my love on top. Oh, come on, baby. You put my love on top, 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 top. You put my love on top. Oh, oh, come on, baby. You put my love on top, 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 top. My love on top, baby. I can hear the wind whipping past my face as we dance the night away. And boy, your lips taste like a night of champagne as I kiss you again and again and again and again. Now every